Hello and welcome to the Why the Mountains podcast with me, your host, Stephen Farley. This is the last of our three-part dive into the world of Terence Banjo Bannon and his forays into the world of high-altitude mountaineering. Before I forget, I should mention Banjo's book, Ascending the Dream, written with Lauren O'Malley. I lent heavily in this book preparing to interview Banjo and for putting these podcasts together, and would highly recommend it. We pick it up with Banjo, not best pleased about the sudden disappearance of summit partner Jamie McGuinness, who had headed out on a summit attempt without Banjo, but carrying the water Banjo had taken the time to boil for him. Needless to say, Banjo was not pleased, and again, just a flag that there is a sprinkling of bad language in this podcast, which adds to the authenticity of our conversation, and it is right from the very start.
And I went, you horrible bastard. I could see his torch going to him. Well, I fucked him off from the height from the desk. I remember coming back and going, that's the end of me. And then I thought, how can I dig deep here? Like, I have the experience. I can do this. So I built myself up. I can do this. I don't need it. I was going to do it by myself anyway. So don't doubt yourself. Like, let's do it. And then I remember getting myself ready and having a wee thought to myself. And then I looked round and I saw the two oxygen bottles. And they weighed a fucking ton too. But I don't know what was full, what wasn't full. And I remember, fuck it, I'm going to take them. Right, forget about that thing. I just want to climb this fucking mountain. Put the two oxygen bottles in. Nobody tells you, it weighs a fucking ton. I'm going, fuck, they will that. Is it worth going light and right, like you're buying more twite, or will I reserve myself and have that oxygen because that could save me? And it wasn't overly cold. I remember going, it was minus 20, but it wasn't overly cold. Fuck it, I'll take it. And I put the head torch on and got myself, and I'm right. And this is where thought process goes stupid. They went to the far left, up on the North Range, up, and then making their way to the North Ridge itself. I spotted them about an hour later. It took an hour to do all that. I saw lights and I went straight for the lights. So I made my way up. There was a wee snowband, and I remember getting me out of wee small ice axe, and it was reminding me of the box 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe. And then when I put the oxygen on, it was like boom, I'm in the room. I can move fast. This is it. This is great. This is super. 1, 2, 3. Stop. Breathe. 1, 2, 3. I had that wee system until I got to the point where there was huge big rock face. And I know the Kiwi wasn't technical. And I went, there's no way he could have climbed that. There's no way he could have climbed that. I'm looking for ropes, some type of thing that I thought was anyway possible, like a rope of some description, but I could hear something. And this, I went, fuck, maybe I've missed it, and I'm a wee bit more to the right than I should have. Maybe I should go back. So I decided to climb up onto the big ledge. What happened was, got onto this wee mantle shelf and realised it was the north face. Pure black. I went, fuck, I'm way off.
It could well be one of the worst nightmares of a mountaineer, to lose your way on summit day and find yourself alone on a ledge on the north face of Everest. I can't imagine the fear that would wash over you once the realisation hits. But this wasn't Banjo's first rodeo, and he had been developing the experience and skills over many years to deal with such a situation.
So, trying to get back down to mountain myself off, I remember it might have been minus 25, but the sweat, I could feel, the sweat, the salty in my eye, because at that stage fear had set in, going, holy fuck, how am I going to get off this ledge? I knew I was way beyond where I should have been. I needed to come back. So I remember the big mitts on, took the big mitts off, and mitts, took them off, they're all on a string, and I was on my gloves at this stage, nailing it, and going, right, I've enough energy, calm now, Banjo, the ghost, full stretch, and hook myself and get down. Well, here, I remember, full stretch, and scraping the crampons onto nothing. I went, oh, fuck. And lucky enough, I had a good jug. You know what a jug is? Round this thing. Only on that, but my left hand was shit. It was standing, I was looking for fucking anything at this stage to grab onto. And I remember, fuck me. I fucked it in, and then it overstretched, and then I could feel like something on the left hand crampon, and it was a bit of purchase. And I remember I put all my weight on it, and then I shimmered it across. I managed to get my hand on it, and then overextend. And lucky enough, there was a fucking rock there, a huge juggy. I'm like, fuck, nice. And then getting down. So that took the guts of 15 minutes. Even though that move was only 2 moves, but it took 15 minutes. It's hard to explain, but at altitude, that's what happens. But then I went, right, fuck this here. Shall I go on? Fuck, can I do this? And, you know, your self-belief, and then, you know, doubt, it's an awful fucking thing. It creeps in. It's fucking, yeah, no, come on, we can do this. And I remember turning around going, the train doesn't look too bad. I saw a wee bit of ice band, I can go up it. And I remember that there's a thing called the Japanese Cool War. And I went, me I'm on it, and it's alright, it's a wee bit technical, but it's ice and solid, so I was thinking, right, I could do it. Got up that, next minute the head torch went. I went, oh, fuck me. Head torch went. What's going on? Panic set in again. I go, for fuck's sake. I remember sitting down on the ledge, scraping myself out with the ice axe, going, right, this is an omen. That's 2 omens. One was getting lost up there. Second one is the head torch is gone.
As if things weren't challenging enough, try doing all of this in the pitch dark without a head torch. This summit push was turning out to be minus crack, as someone from our part of the world might say. But, as happens to many sons all over the world throughout history, Banjo's mum comes to the rescue.
And then I realised my ma had given me a wee light. This new light came in, Colin, and the LED light, wee small tiny one. And I remember, took my rucksack off, a duct tape. I have duct tape on my ice axes and thing. Got it off, ducted on the head torch I had on, the wee light, and it was just enough. It was like a bluish light. It was enough to light it up, man. Right, that's us. Back home, bum, 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 bum. So it pushed on, it was like a wee bit of bad time, a wee bit of, I can do this. And I managed to get up. Now, here's what I'm aiming for. There's a turnaround time. Kerry Cobbler, I think you call him, a Swiss guide. I had a good chat with him, and he had said, at 6 o'clock, you need to get to the second step. So there's 4th step, which was all right because it was a bit of snow around and it wasn't all that. There's a 2nd step, and then there's a 3rd step. So, but the 2nd step is the big one where they don't know if in 1924 did Mallory and Irvine climb it or did they didn't climb, and that's where they might have fallen from. He says there's a Chinese ladder there. It was put up in the 1960s, aluminium. If you can get there when the sun hits that, so he's been there a few times, when the sun hits at 6 o'clock, you want to get there by 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock, your time starts going down. You need to start thinking, if you're going to do it through the night, it's your strategy. And your strategy is you're going to go through the night because it's easier to breathe. And if the shit that hits the fan, you'll have all that daylight the next day and it'll get warmer. So I would right. So, but that's your turn off time. If you're on the move and you're not in the O's, fucking that's what you're aiming for. I am right dead on. And I remember looking at the watch and it was 6 o'clock and I still wasn't at the bottom of the 2nd step. And I remember passing ones, and then I met past the fucking wee Japanese woman, a bit of a shindig with her. She wasn't going anywhere. Fucking ship was pulling her and pushing her, and and I just told him, get out of my road. Had to push her to one side. And then I could see fucking the Kiwi up above. He was above the ladders. Oh, I didn't think you were going to make it. I didn't have the energy to fucking fuck off. And I got there. I remember swinging round, and once I pushed all the poor Sherpas, God love the Sherpas, I stood on one of their shoulders, but wouldn't get out of the road because they were getting paid to pull this wee woman up, and she's going nowhere. And I get a bit of sort of the focus, summit fever took over me and going, I need to get up here. It was time's getting on. It's 6:30. Remember pushing. The only thing is, when they all get out of the road, I went to move, and then it was, and realised, fucking, there's no oxygen in that fucking cylinder. And I'm going, fuck me. And they're all, come on. And I'm going, so I had to push, sucking fucking, until I got to the ladder. I remember I was out the side of them and hunking over going, holy fuck. And I remember going to my rucksack, taking out that cylinder, putting the other one on, pushing it on as much as I can, then and boom, wee bit more oxygen. I went, fuck, I'm in the game again. I remember climbing up, because after me making a big skeptical of big fucking spectacle of trying to get past these boys, I hadn't any energy to do it then, you know. So I had to push myself on and get up onto the ladder. And at that stage, I didn't back clipping on the ropes and stuff like that. But it's too time consuming. And I just remember, don't fucking fall, you know. But the ladder was twisted in the way it was fucking, I thought it was going to be straightforward, but it was moving and thing, and it was grabbing ropes and, you know, the rungs and stuff like that. And she got above it, and then I could see the third step in front of me, and I could see where the South African and all was away in front. And then I remember getting round it, and then getting near the summit, there was fucking Jim McKenna, the nose busted off. Oh, I've told everybody that you got to the top. And I says, I haven't got to the top. The top was still round another, say 10, 20 metres. I went, I haven't got to the top. Give me the satellite phone. Was on to ring my ma to say that I've made it, and you know, and all the rest. Well, I started arguing with this, but he wouldn't give me the fucking satellite phone. And I was going, I'm going to punch the fucking head of this chap. But 6'4", I 5'9". I'm going to fucking chin him. And he fucking knew it. Because at that stage, I was the fucking man. And he frankly gave me the satellite phone. I ended up coming round. And it's funny because your whole life to that point, now I'm 35 years of age at this stage, I make my way to the summit by myself, no service, no porters. Probably cheated a bit on the last bit because I did take the O's, but I felt that I achieved something, my own challenge, and I felt I did it my own way, didn't need anybody. And that's the way to climb a mountain. So I knew the boys, you know, the boys that I climbed with would have been proud of me that way. You know, didn't rely on anybody, old school, had my own maps, had my own way of getting out of things, my own, you know, prowess with me. I remember getting to the top and it was fucking yes! You know, the only thing is, there's nobody there. It's like winning the World Cup or winning the All-Ireland or, you know, it was the thing. And looking around me, and nobody to share it. But anyway, I loved it and the excitement of it. And I realised, right, I better get a photograph, because here's the big thing. Before I left, the boys had said to me, Ian Paisley was looking footage of the, you know, the, what do you call it, the arms destruction, stuff like that there. And he was, remember that big thing was in 2003, they wanted to show, you know, that all the weapons were put away and blah, blah, blah. And the boys saying, unlike him, he's not going to get a photograph. See, if we don't get a photograph, nobody's going to know that you're there. So I remember there's two things more than I took than food. Was two cameras. One was an old £5 Fuji click-on one, no battery in it. And the other one, it was a brand new thing called a digital camera. And would it fucking work? No, because of the cold. So I've shit myself for that. And I remember taking the battery out and putting it in my armpits and stuff like that. And I remember getting the Fuji camera and clicking, like doing a selfie as in that you're in a party. You know the way you're fucking... So did a 360 of it and taking loads of photographs and stuff like that. And I eventually got the battery to work. The only thing is, it took ages to do, see, 10-second or was a 20-second delay, you know, for a photograph. So I remember getting the rucksack, propping it up with the ice axe and getting photographs. And the only thing is, when you press the button was the smallest wee button in the whole fucking camera, which is a nightmare because you have to take it on, you have to press this wee button, and then you have to go back. So there's 50 photographs of me at the back of my head, and there's only two good. There was one, me, lying back like that, and the other one was with tricolour. But I remember there, and I'd said the people, it must have been there 5-10 minutes, but it must have been an hour. And at that stage, the O's had went, like, there was no arching left and stuff like that. But I remember taking off the thing, didn't I, and sucking and breathing then, normally, and having a good look. And then I remember sitting down, and it's the only time I sort of relaxed myself. Because I've taken the photographs, I've taken the thing, done what I need to do, and then I want to take it in. Because I'm not coming back. I had in the head, right, and I looked down the south side, so I didn't have to, people were climbing at that stage, when I climbed the north side and the south side, and up the north face, whatever. I went, no, just in case I'm never back here again, I'm going to suck it in. So I walked up, saw a wee bit of the hill we stayed, and go, right, yeah, class, seen it. Come back up, sat back down again because it was totally exhausting.
Thoughts of the Reverend Ian Paisley while summiting Everest was not what I expected Banjo to say. However, similar worries occupied Banjo's mind that I had heard before about the north side. Turnaround times, the second step, oxygen, summit fever, and the Chinese ladder. I think Banjo was being unfair when he says he cheated using oxygen. As he says, Banjo had done it his way from the very start, though I think he did have a regret that he had to be alone on the summit, but that's just the way it goes. Thankfully the camera worked, and Banjo was able to get his summit pictures, and he had time to take it all in.
I remember standing there and the goggles on, I remember lifting the goggles on and going, wow, what a spectacle, because you're looking at, I was so lucky with the weather because not a cloud in the sky, it's pure dark, it's because they call it between heaven and hell. You've got the darkness, pure dark, and then really dark blue, and then light blue, and then all the mountains, and I looked over and you've got all the other mountains in the background, right? And Lutzy and all that there, all down below you. And then you look across and you see the Tibetan plain. And then the curvature of the world is just, when you're looking in the distance, you could just see it bring either side. And I went, wow. That is the spectacle for itself, And to realise I was the last person on the summit of that year in 2003 because there was nobody else. I was the last. And it was something, spiritual, like, I'm not all that religious, but spiritual, there was something there, it was just me, like, people were saying, what do you feel? It was a strange, it was out of the body experience. Maybe it was because of lack of oxygen as well, but it just felt spiritual to me, you know what I mean? Because I remember, like, it was just, everything was just so perfect, Nobody else, not a sinner about, and enjoying it, looking around me going, wow, this is amazing, And all the things as a child that, I had, dreamt about, and that visualization had come true, and that for me was amazing in itself, because you realise that dreams can come true. That's why I would always tell young people now, even now, no matter how much you want to dream something, if you really, really want it, you can achieve it. Like, it takes a lot of hard work. You make your own luck by, you have to train yourself the way you want to do it. People are very lucky and they might just get it the first time, but for me, that took a lifetime to do, and for me, that was, obviously the pinnacle of a lifetime. Like,
as you can see, it would be easy to get lost in the moment on the summit of Everest, but as always, mothers have a way of bringing sons back down to earth.
Absolutely, rang her from the summit, yeah, and it must have been 2:30 there, like Irish time, for me to tell her that I was on the summit, and at that stage that she was all excited, and that's great and all, but always, my ma was always like, through the night. She says, now that's only at now you need to get down. That's only at half done. Which really, which I thought, that was it for me, sitting there and,
Yeah.
looking around me, drinking away. It was iced up, my drink crunching through the ice from it, and going, right, now this is where the hard work begins. And it was, she was 100% right. But I remember coming down at that stage, at no oxygen, and I was staggering. It was like, staggering at this stage, because you build yourself up, and how I would describe it is, if you've partied all night and you jump in the car and you're that exhausted that you're down in the car and you can hear the rumble, waves of the side of the barriers, with waving shop on the motorway, and you realise, right, come on, and you've got the window down, the window wipers on, the music on, and you still just want to sleep. They call it the big sleep. And obviously I had passed the Indian climber, they called them green boots at that stage of the game, and I realised that's what happened to him. That lad had got to the top, was so exhausted, the weather had come in, and he hid under a wee ant cove, and I went, right, I don't want to be like him. But I remember going down, and I was a bit stupid then, because I just went down the ladders, didn't back, clipping onto any ropes, and just wrapping my hand round the rope, doing it like an assisted abseil, front abseil, but not clipping into the harness or anything. I remember getting down near the bottom, and I had slipped. I fucking near slipped off the thing, because I'd slipped off it. Because there was a wee bit of ice, but there was a lot of gravel and, that shitty limestone stuff, and I slipped off the rock. I remember putting my hand out, and an old rope had caught my arm. I remember, fuck me, but it sort of woke me up. And what happened was, then I looked up, and sort of half, was exhausted for trying to breathe, looking up, and I'd seen fathers, and I went, fuck me, did I die? I went, holy shit, this is what happens when you've died and you're ascending to heaven, you know what I mean? And stuff like that there, and seeing all the wee fathers, and, getting lifted up. And then I went to move, and then I realised, and I had a good laugh to myself, because I was actually thinking, if there was a third person watching me, they're going, what's that dickhead laughing at? What happened was, I ripped a big hole in my arse where it had slipped from the down jacket, and the feathers had went everywhere, and that's what I was looking up at, and I was going, oh, you fucking total idiot. And I was just, so it was good not to take yourself too serious, going, right, it's only the feathers of the down jacket suit, and clipping on again. Right, first thing I started to clip onto the ropes that was there. Other ones were a wee bit shaky, and I just right down, and I just kept pushing on. And I remember getting into our camp tree at 8,200 or whatever it was, and telling the Kiwi to get the fuck out of the tent. He says, why? He says, I'm not staying here. I knew I'd spent too much time at that altitude. I had to get down even further. And I remember getting him out of the tent. He says, I'm taking that fucking tent with me. Because that was I got that, I think I got that tent that we got sponsored. And it was too good of a fucking tent to leave behind. Like, that's how stupid it was. You should have just fucking left it, which a lot of people do. But I had there's a good sleeping bag, and there's a good fucking tent, and I fucking carried it up, and I had an old head, I'm taking that with me. And he was in the shirts. I said, get the fuck out of the tent. And I said, get out. So he get out. I says, I'm going on down, because it's too high. Need to get below 8,000 here at least. So I remember getting the tent, and like fucking hindsight, I had the energy just to get it all together and rip it out. And I even ended up cutting it, because it had frozen a wee bit brown. I remember chipping it out and packing it, putting it in my rucksack, and going on down. And I got down to Camp 1 and stayed there. It was between Camp 1 Camp 2, and throwing the tent there and staying the night. But I felt, oh my God, see the altitude then, when you're coming down, you could feel that wee bit better. And then the satellite started going, people wanted to interview, and going, how long, I needed to talk. I needed to get down off it properly, because everybody was congratulating. So, people were just waking up to the fact that I had summoned it, but I knew I had to get down. And at that stage, I knew that everybody was leaving. The whole of the north side was packed up. And I remember coming down from the North Call, and all the wee sort of villages saw the advanced base camp was gone. Like, but anything was left, the porters or the yak herders were grabbing everything. That was fair game for them. They would have taken everything because they could sell it on then, So it became that. And I remember getting down there and a wee bit of stones. I was going to, I was that tired. I was going to stop at that France base camp. No. You have to keep moving. I went, Ryan says, you're a lad. Like, you need to keep going. So I remember through the whole night then, moving through the whole night from the France base camp down to base camp. And everybody had packed up. And the Chinese liaison officer cracking up. Yeah! You lost, man. Hey, you want to stay here all season? We have to go now. And then it did snow. And it was a Land Cruiser waiting on us. Says, get in. And before I knew it, didn't have time to even get a drink or anything. It was shoved into the back of this Land Cruiser and gone. I remember sleeping then and then waking it up at the border of Tibet and Nepal. They call it Friendship Bridge. It's when the Chinese were going to invade Nepal, that thing. And getting stopped. And this thing called SARS was a big thing, it was a farce. And they wouldn't let me out because the temperature on my head was above 37, whatever it is. And they were trying to convince these Chinese fucking guards or army boys that I've been just on the summit of Everest and I've just come straight down. That's why the temperature's probably a wee bit higher, and all the rest. So I managed to push on, Yeah, so it was exciting time. Like.
What an adventure Banjo had been on. Boy's own stuff, really. At every stage of the journey, the odds appeared to be stacked against him, but in a strange way, I also have the sense that there was no doubt that Banjo would succeed. It was inevitable. The ending was dramatic, as these things tend to be, and the gap between the summit and the back of the Chinese jeep was very small. There didn't seem a lot of time for Banjo to take stock of what he had just achieved, but in his own mind, he was very quickly moving on to other projects, and success on Everest was going to open doors for Banjo.
As soon as I was walking down, I went, that's one dream knocked off. Second dream, hardest mountain in the world. Now, had to think, what was it? Was it going to be Nanga Parbat? I wanted to do the Ripple Face. So in Pakistan, there's two big things that there is. There's the highest rock face in the world, the Triangle Towers. And then there's the Ripple Face, which is Nanga Parbat, biggest ice precipice. And I went, oh, I'd love to do that there. What's my aim? What I really want to do? And then people were saying, K2's good and hard. Like, it's, because I was thinking, it's Annapurna, it's Nanga Parbat. What's the one? And they all say K2, yeah. Go, K2's gonna, it's the hardest. That's the one you want to do. That's who you want to do with no auction thing. So before I was flying home and everybody was talking about Everest, I had K2 in my sights. So I waited till Everest fucking blew over and the excitement was that. And then I made preparations. So I was making preparations and I got a phone call then from America, John Fitzgibbon. It was a big horror for Cork when the day he had said that he'd like to join me as a teammate to climb K2 together. And I went, brilliant. I went, 2005, that's what we did. At this stage, we got big sponsorship. A guy called Jared O'Hare came on the scene. He owned the Key Shopping Centre and stuff like that. So the finance and the thing was just all sewn up. He paid for everything. There was ones come on board. Mulligan McGuinness and boys like that came in with the technology of a satellite phone that was all paid for and communications with weather updates and all, and there was other people coming on board. Other boys sponsoring me, saying, look, I'll give you $3,000, if you just mention my, work name and stuff like that. So all of a sudden, the money end was great. I was going, everybody had jumped on because I'd climbed the average. Says, right, there's somebody who can finish off. Nobody had climbed K2. And they said, right, you try to be the first then to climb K. Not that I'm into the first running, but it was a challenge, and I went, right. And it was tried before, and people didn't accept it. I'm going, right, that's it. I want to, right, that's the aim. Be the first, climb K2. That's gonna, but nobody's done it, nobody from Ireland. And people are saying, Irish climbing has excelled, but nobody's actually fucking pushed the boat out. And I went, right, I want to climb it then. So that was the big thing. I'm going to climb, but I'm going to do it old school. No, again, no Sherpas, no porters, no auction. Fucking old school, but you don't need anybody to fucking wipe your arse, put up tents. That was it. So that's how it was done then. Me and John Fitzgibbon went there 2005. We tried our hardest. A few people were killed. Nobody had climbed that year. In the whole season of 2005, the weather was fucking horrendous. John had to go home because his wife was expecting a child at that stage of the game, and I just stayed on. And I just went, fuck, I'll try to stay on as best I can, because I was hungry then, and I waited, so 2 whole months on that fucking mountain, and it didn't give it up. So I remember disappointed, and the next year, as soon as I came home, I got a phone call from the sponsors going, look, do you want to go again? Here's the money, we're all for you. And I went, fuck it, I want to go again. 2006, here we go. At this stage of the game, I heard about Jerry McDonald, guy from Limerick, and an old friend that I'd met in 1993 was Mick Murphy from Cork. Great fella, solid as fuck. Again, he was a bit disappointed he didn't get to the summit in 1983. And he had climbed Everest in 2003 on the other side, on the south side. So I had said, yeah, fuck, here, we'll all meet up.
Jerry McDonald and Mick Murphy, 2 very well-known names in the Irish mountaineering world, and excellent people to team up with for a climb of this magnitude. When K2 and Irish mountaineering is mentioned, it is impossible not to think of Jerry McDonald. I hope to have an episode focusing on Jerry in the coming weeks. So for the 2nd year in a row, Banjo was going to have a go at the Mountaineer's Mountain, the hardest 8,000 metre mountain in the world in many people's estimation, K2. Banjo talks about Jerry for a while, who was injured on this climb, but I am going to save that for the future episode on Jerry. So I will cut straight to high up on K2 in 2006, and a summit attempt looms for Banjo.
I stayed on then, and it took another week or two. The weather come in. I'd stayed above 7,000 metres probably for too long, but I didn't want to come down through that snow field again, or the rock field from Camp 1 to Camp 2 on the Abruzzi Ridge. So ended up waiting it out, and then I got contact, a guy called St. Scott, Molly McGuinness, who had sponsored the satellite phone, had said, look, the weather's going to be good in the next 3 days for a summit push. Because up to then, the weather was pretty shit. And I went, right, this is it. So I had said to the Russians, no, yes, the weather's going to be good. I've got good weather forecast. The thing is, when they got to Camp 2, it started to snow. That's why he rang, says, here, it's fucking snowing here. But it was a localised thing. It wasn't coming up on their radar system. He says, forget about it, the weather's still going to be good. So I went, right. He says, there's a big high front coming in. It's called the China wind, because behind K2 there's Gobi Desert, and usually the wind goes from left to right. But when the wind changes, the weather's good. He says the weather's coming in from the right, from the Gobi, it'll all be settled. I went, right. So we pushed on, and then it did settle, but it was big truncheon from Camp 3 to Camp 4. There was a lot of snow, so we had to fucking take our, turns, cut down the snow. And then at Camp 4, we're all there. The weather's great. We're going to go for it. Brilliant. Now here's where I think it all went wrong. We left at 1 o'clock. We should have left at 10 o'clock. because there was a wee bit of faffing about who's going to do what. So there was, where did it work? There was 9 Russians, myself, and a Polish lad, and we all went. And because I wasn't on O's, I didn't take action. I wanted to go first to lead it so I can go my own pace. I was trying to convince the I was here before, because I did get the Camp 4 before and sort of knew half the route. So they were happy enough, but it was just pure selfish that I wanted to go there slowly. But they were strong, like Jesus. This Russian team were really strong, and I remember getting up, and the gradient started to get a bit steeper, and you don't want to. You had a load of ropes with us, and didn't want to put the ropes out just quite, because it's still easy ground. You can still climb up. You'd be surprised when you climb up, but I remember as things get on, my feet started to get really, really cold. And I went, fuck. And at that stage, I didn't want to lose a fingernail, but I couldn't feel it. It went from soreness to a wee bit of numbness. My fingers get cold, because there was no oxygen and it was cold. I went, fuck. I'm going to have to stop. So I remember there, I dug a snow seat for myself. I remember digging into self-ended. And I had to take the shoes off and take an aspirin and ibuprofen and everything. To thin the blood, to get the blood around the toes. I went, blah. That stage, they passed me. I went, use me and go on. So I remember warming up my toes, taking off my boots. Didn't want to drop them, but I fucking had to warm up the toes. It was that stage they were going, when I looked at them, they were a bit whitish, and I had one of them, the packs that you shake that warm up your feet, like a heat pack. So I put the heat pack underneath the toes and put the sack back on and and that sort of heated up the toes a wee bit. I warmed myself up by shaking my hand out and shaping my feet up and stuff like that. So pushed on then and get up in behind the team. So at that stage, there was a team sort of broken up, and they had set out a few ropes up on to the steep part and then over the bottleneck. And they were on a traverse. So we were on a traverse, and I had a wee 7mm rope, wee thin 16 metre. I went, fuck it, I don't fancy carrying it. But you don't, at this stage, you don't want to carry anything. And I had a stake, a 2-foot stake, aluminium stake that I had with me. And I says, right, I'm going to hammer this in. So I hammered it in and clipped into it. And then there was another Russian and the Polish lad climbed into my rope. And the other 4 Russians, they went on up, and then there was another 4 Russians on another rope. So unknown to me, they had crossed over. At this stage, we had passed the hard part. So I was excited with myself. It was 11 o'clock. It was fucking warm. I knew there was something wrong. It was so fucking warm. Because at this stage, my down jacket had stripped down, and I was in my base layer. I had pulled everything round me and went, holy fuck, it's so hot. And I went, that's abnormal, isn't that? Near the summit. But at this stage, it's 8,350 metres. So you're only talking another 180 odd metres away, or whatever it is. So I could actually see the summit plume coming up, and the boys. But for some reason, the Russians went over to the left. I think there must have been a wee bit of stone or whatever it is sticking out, or a piton. For some reason, instead of going straight, they cut across. And what happened was, in that process, they had cut across. And when you're cutting that, it's like paper that's been cut. What they have done is created a fucking block on the slab of snow. And it's just ideal conditions now. Say if you were in Scotland and it snowed a day or two beforehand, you would not go near any slope that's between 20 to 40 degrees a slope, but it's going to be avalanche prone. But because you're in the Himalaya, you think, well, it's that cold, it's not going to do it. But then an avalanche, and it fucking down it came. And lucky enough, I was coming up onto the summit ridge, and the avalanche came to me, hit me, but I was on the outside of it, so it's like a waterfall. And if it hit full head shit, you're getting the full whack, but I only got at the side, so it pushed me away. I fell down, wrapped the rope round me because I only clipped in. Wasn't in gym or anything. I only clipped into the rope by a carabiner. And I remember going, fuck, I'm falling down. And I managed to wrap the rope round my hand. And I remember it, look, there's the mark there, look, where it had run and it started to burn through it. And I was falling down. And I went, there's two things going to happen. My hand's going to get cut off with the pressure, or it's going to fucking snap. And I'm going to fly down South East Ridge here, fucking 10,000 feet. And I remembered, and it flying down, and the snow fading over me, and it sort of pushed me out the side, and I sort of missed part of it. And I was dusting myself down, going, holy fuck, that was lucky. But that stage, I didn't know. I could hear sort of screams, but you don't know what's what. So I went, fuck, man. I remember getting the camera out and videoing myself going, holy God, it would just be an avalanche, survived it. And, wow. And thought nothing of it. I said, kept pushing on. So didn't I keep pushing on? Then I met with, like, you're talking about, at this stage, you're about 100 metres away from the summit, to a big Russian coming down and fucking going like that to me. His arms crossed and pushing me down. I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? I'm getting to some of this here. Fucking, this is it. I was excited. It was the same excitement I had when I was going to Everest. Like, no. And I went, what? And then I was thinking, no, down. And he kept crossing his hand. Unknown to me, I didn't realise it was like something's happened. And I was going free, selfishly going, no, I want to get the time. And he kept pushing me fucking down. So I took the video out, doing a boohoo video, going, oh, I can't make the summit because it's been avalanche, and it must be avalanche prone still. So I was thinking that was what happened. So I remember pushing down, so fucking disappointed. You're talking about the worst disappointment fucking ever. It was the biggest downer. I remember coming down and bouncing round the bottleneck, and it felt nothing to me, It was just fucking panning down, a wee bit of ice and chopping it, and then down climbing because the ropes had run out, like one axe after that. Felt nothing to me. Turned round, and I'm going, where the fuck is everybody? And then I counted 4 boards and a fifth. I went, where's the half for? Just going, where the fuck? Them boys still on the summit, them Johnny bastards on the summit, and maybe they can't get down because it's avalanche prone. The next minute went over, and the man, what's going on? It's just all gone. What? 4 Igor fucking, yeah, starting to name all the names. Gone. What do you mean gone? They were fucking killed. And they went looking for the bodies and looking, to see where they went. And then we were out searching to see if you could see anything. You could see nothing then, Huge big mountain. They looked down our whole field going, can't see them, like. And that was a controversy in Russia then at the time. These boys had came from Siberia. These were the top masters of the sport. They're all in their 50s, but all top climbers, ex-military boys and blah, blah, blah. And these boys went missing, and people thought they were in a cave and all. When we got down, there was a whole controversy in Russia. Maybe they're still alive now. And I had to go on Russian TV to say, no, these boys are gone. But that was a big shock. And that was the first time I ever backed away. Like, it wasn't the first time from Big Mountain. But so close to Katie, like the summit came to me, rather than the other way about. And so frustrating, but a bit selfish, even though them lads had died. Then you realise I got a wee bit of survivor's guilt a bit too, then going, fuck, I was so lucky, I wasn't appreciated then, And that bothered me. That last 100 metres fucking or so fucking annoyed me not to get that top. Even though I would have taken the risk. Seeing that avalanche thing, but in my mindset is, if it's avalanche, that's it down. Surely the fuck, it's only look up, it still would have been above that, but you could mitigate it, a wee bit. And I would have pushed on. If that Russian was there, I would have pushed on, that's the truth.
So Banjo's dream of being the first mountaineer from Ireland on the summit of K2 came to an end, tragically for his fellow climbers from Russia. But after he had time to think about it, Banjo realised he had a lucky enough escape, and it could all have been very different. 2006 on K2 was Banjo's last foray into the realm of 8,000 metre mountains, at least up to now. I asked him about mountaineering now and how family changed his approach.
When children came along, you don't want to be selfish either, because I was reminded a few times from different people, especially a mother saying, look, Jim McDonald would probably love to have children, or, you know, that's about the 18th friend that I lost in mountains, because I've lost a few people before that. And, when you lose that many people and so close to people, like people were killed beside me, as in Scotland and the Alps and South America, and you say to yourself, right, you've been lucky, and now you've children, sort of got there, are you going to sort of push the envelope? So even though I climbed before, I took more precautions, and not as balls as but I still do love climbing and stuff like it, and now I've got my lads climbing again, and believe it or not, at the tender age of coming on 57, I think I'm ready to go big climbing again. Like I feel that, I'm ready. I've actually trained away in the fingerboard there and trying to get my grade up again for the climbing. So yeah, I'm feeling fit again. I'm feeling hungry, and now my lads have grown up. I've done my bit as far. I think I might just push it on. You just never know.
Banjo looks fit and well able to still handle himself in the high mountains, so it would not come as a shock to me to hear he is having to go at the Rugal face on Nanga Parbat, or even back for another crack at K2. This ends our time with Banjo, though you will hopefully hear from him again in future episodes on Jerry McDonald and on the future of mountaineering on Everest. I really hope you have enjoyed these episodes with Armagh man Terence Banjo Bannon, and I want to thank him for his hospitality and how generous he was with his time. If you would like to get in touch, please email whythemountainspodcast@gmail.com or look us up on Facebook or Instagram. Join us again next week for another episode of the Why the Mountains podcast. In the meantime, stay safe and stay cool.